Good day, tributes! Welcome to the EAPP Arena. We are now back again in another exciting learning episode for Quarter 2 in English for academic and professional purposes. I am Mrs. Charsol John H. Casala, Teacher 3 of San Pablo City Science Integrated High School. Know that this learning episode will surely be interactive as you are to be engaged in various digital tasks that will help you attain the lesson's competencies and at the same time enhance your digital literacies as senior high school students. For weeks 5 and 6 lessons, our lesson in focus is on writing a position paper. So in this video lesson, you are going to decipher and learn something about the meaning of the position paper, its purposes, the most important parts that you have to include in your final position paper, and finally, the sample position paper outline that you have to follow as you commence in writing the position paper as your final performance task in the EAPP arena. The most essential learning competency for this lesson is write a position paper. And here are the learning objectives of the lesson. So at the end of this video lesson, you are expected to determine the meaning, purposes, kind, steps, and tips in writing a position paper. Number 2 is to participate actively in differentiated activities in breakout rooms during our synchronous time. Number 3, write a position paper on a current issue present in the Philippines. So let's begin our discussion and our journey in discussing position papers. So this lesson on position paper will teach you how to prove your claims and gather evidences and try to support your stand or your side of an issue. So learning to write position paper will surely prepare you for more advanced writing activities in the future. Before we start, let's challenge your preferences and your reasons behind your choices and your stand. In this picture, you are asked of a question, who should be allowed to go first? Should it be the fire engine, the ambulance, the presidential car, or the police car? I'll be giving you 2 minutes or a minute to think about your choice and the reasons why it should go first. And try to share your ideas in the classroom. Let's proceed with the second preference challenge. Now this time, there are 6 very famous logos of fast food chains in the Philippines. It's Jollibee, Mang Inasal, McDo, KFC, Greenwich, and Chowking. Now the question is, if you are going to select one logo or one fast food chain that you would drop in this list, what would it be and why? So you try to think of your idea and your preferences on what to delete or what to drop from these kinds of logos and try to determine or decipher the reasons behind your choice. Again, I'll be giving you 1 minute to think about your idea. After thinking about it, I would like you to put your ideas in the Q&A thread in our classwork as well. So time's up. I believe that you are already done in thinking about your stand or thinking about your choices on the previous challenges that you've seen in the slides. So I'm sure that after looking at the pictures and participating in the challenges, I'm sure that you each have your own preferences. Not only that, each one of you have your own specific reasons as to why and how you have chosen the particular choice. So I'm really excited to look over your answers and your reasons why you chose that particular option. So in academic writing, we can also express our own preferences and discuss our choices, opinions, belief, and stance through crafting a position paper. So now, let's try to decipher and discuss the meaning of a position paper. What is a position paper? So a position paper is a kind of academic writing in which the writer researches a controversial issue and writes a paper explaining his or her stand or viewpoint on it. So it's very important that the writer has the freedom to choose an issue, at hand. So, more often than not, position papers are always considering controversial issues or relevant issues that is existing in the society or in your particular community. So, it's important, again, that the writer has this freedom to choose of his own topic to write for a position paper, because it's very easy for the writer to put his or her ideas into words, since you are interested with the topic that you have already chosen. Not only that, you are just going to provide your stand, or you are just going to say that you agree or disagree with the topic, but also it is important for the writer like you, or for writers like you, to also support your viewpoint or your stand using credible evidences. And I think that you have already mastered that particular skill, since we have already discussed that in the previous lessons in EAPP. In addition, a position paper describes a position on an issue and the rationale for that position. So when we say rationale, your purpose, your reasons, your claims about the particular topic of your choice and about the particular stand that you have, or the particular side that you have just chosen. So, in addition, the purpose of writing a position paper is to generate support on an issue. Not only that, so a position paper aims to present the stand of the author or a person on an issue. It also incorporates supportive evidences that are based on facts. Remember that we don't only include our opinions in the position paper, it should be backed up with credible sources and credible evidences taken from primary sources, taken from well-known sources over the internet, or credible sources from television, from radio, and other sources of information. So the evidence is needed to establish and strengthen the claims or arguments of the writer on an issue. Lastly, it's based on facts that provide a solid foundation for an argument. So, like what I am always telling you in the previous lessons in EAPP, when a particular idea is just coming from a writer, it's always considered as an opinion. So it's very important that you cite some references, that you use supporting evidences that is coming from credible sources, because it will make your position and your stand strengthened and strong in nature. So here are the steps in writing a position paper. The first thing that you have to do is to choose a topic for your paper. So again, let's go back to the idea that in choosing a topic, you have to choose a topic that is controversial in nature. Controversial in a particular society, a trending issue that is talked about by many people in the country or in the community. So, in relation to the accomplishment of your performance task, you can also select a topic from the suggested pool of options, but you also have this freedom to choose your topic of interest. The second thing that you have to do once you have considered, or once you have finalized a topic, is to conduct researches. In conducting researches, it's very important that you consider the ideas of other sources that supports your claim, that supports your belief, and that also supports your stand. In conducting researches, you can also conduct questions or ideas that is a little bit opposing in your current stand, because the third step is to challenge your own topic. So maybe you're wondering why in writing a position paper, Mom Cha, why do we still need to challenge our own topic? I thought we are just going to write our stand and support it properly. So let me just explain or expound on this idea that you really have to challenge your own topic by trying to think or anticipate the questions and the opposing beliefs of writers or the readers that has a different opinion than you. So it's an advantage that you have anticipated their questions and that you have also incorporated some of the rebuttals or some of their questions in your position paper. Some of the ideas that they might question based on your stand. So in that case, when you challenge your own topic, you are not going to be presenting only the supporting ideas about your claim or your stand. So in challenging your own topic, you have to also include the things or the ideas that the opposing side might raise or might say and use it to your advantage. So meaning you don't just stop by trying to put the opposing idea or of your stand. Okay, you don't stop there. You try to use that opposing idea and try to use it as an advantage to make your stand stronger than the opposing idea. Next is to collect supporting evidences. It's very important that your supporting evidences, again, is coming from credible sources, primary sources, coming from well-known personalities like doctors, scientists, and those trusted by people. As long as it's credible and validated, you're good to go. Last but not the least is to create an outline. So once you're done with these 4 steps, now is the time for you to create an outline because it's very important that you organize your thoughts and ideas in your position paper through this outline. So don't worry because I have provided you with an outline or with the format of your position paper. However, the paragraphs that you are to include in this particular parts of the format can be considered in writing your outline. So outlines, class, are not only applicable for the entire skeleton of the paper. So outlines can also be applicable in organizing your ideas in paragraphs that you are to put in a specific part of your position papers. So here are the general guidelines that you need to follow in writing a position paper. The first one is to use evidence to support your position, such as statistical evidence or dates and events. So in supporting or in finding some evidences, don't forget to reference them or to cite their names in your position papers as well. The second one is to validate your position with authoritative references or primary source quotations. So this will still strengthen your ideas through the authoritative references that you are to include and the primary sources quotations. It will strengthen your stand, your position, and it would also validate it. Next is to examine the strengths and weaknesses of your position. So it's very important that you try to examine the strengths and weaknesses. So you'll be able to know how to play with your words, how to play with your sources, and how to play with the explanation or the reasons behind your stand or position. So it's very important that you know the strengths and you also know the weaknesses so that you can prepare some counterclaims or some rebuttals or pieces of evidences that would support that the identified weakness is not actually considered a weakness but also a strength. So if you can find some credible evidences or supporting facts that turns or which will turn the weakness of your position to strengths, it's better. Next is evaluate possible solutions and suggest courses of action. So this evaluation of possible solutions and suggestions commences at the last part or the concluding part of your position paper. So here is the general outline or the general format of the position papers that you are going to create and formulate as a final performance task in the EAPP arena. So before I discuss the given entries of this outline, let me just give you a brief discussion of the main parts of a position paper. That is the IDC format, or IBC format, which is again introduction, body, and conclusion. So the first part is what we call the introduction. It consists the introduction of the issue, your explanation of the topic in order to provide the background information of the issue, and the assertion of the thesis statement. So the second part of the body includes the summary of your claims, of your counterclaims, the rebuttals, your arguments, credible sources. So make sure that when you try to provide your arguments, it's backed up with credible evidences as well. So summary of the counterclaims, again, if I may elaborate it further, the summary of the counterclaims refers to the counter-arguments of others who disagree with your claims or stand on an issue. So it's up to you to decide if you are going to begin the paragraph of your body, of the position paper's body, through your arguments supported by credible evidences, or you will begin it with the summary of the counterclaims first before you proceed with your argument. So you are given the freedom to choose whatever format you would love to include or to follow. So again, summary of counterclaims refer to the counter arguments of others who disagree with your claims and stand on an issue. So do not stop in identifying the counterclaims. Use the counterclaims as your advantage and try to turn that counterclaims to your chosen position or to your chosen stand. So in this part, you must also provide supporting information and refute the counterclaims by providing evidences. So after that, so when you dwell on the presentation of your arguments, it is a part when you must assert your claims by giving educated and informed opinions. This should be supported or proven by providing evidences from various sources, preferably 2 to 3 sources will do. So the last part is what we consider the conclusion. So you are all well aware that it includes the restatement of the thesis statement, the arguments, and the implications. You may also include the plan of action, some recommendations, but do not introduce a new information in the concluding statement. So new information can only be done or can only be introduced in the body or in the introductory part. So allow me to discuss the entries for each part. So for the first part, it consists of the introduction. So it should identify the issue or the thesis statement, and then the statement of the position. So this should be composed of at least 1 to 2 paragraphs. So for Roman numeral number 2, it's the body. Provide background information, supporting evidence or facts, discussion of both sides of the issue. So for the body, I would love for you to assign at least 3 to 5 paragraphs. Again, for additional tips, you may begin with the counterclaims first before your argument, or your argument first before the counterclaims. Just make sure that whatever format you follow, just make sure that you have your supporting evidences supporting your arguments and your counterclaims. The last part is the conclusion, which entails summary of main concepts and ideas, suggested courses of action, and possible solution to the controversial issue that you have just chosen. So at this point, let's have some quick tips. The first tip is, don't be afraid to be argumentative. So you don't have to be afraid of being argumentative as long as you have the supporting details with you, as long as you have successfully conducted and attended and experienced the steps in the writing process. Of course, you can't be afraid if you are prepared enough. So if you have researched very well, if you have analyzed the strengths and weaknesses of your stand, if you have tried to figure out or anticipate the other stands or the other side's opposition, ideas, and questions, actually there's nothing to be afraid of. So next is, look at all sides of the issue and base your position on thorough examination of all the relevant evidence. So it's very important that when you try to defend your stand, um, it's very important that you know that you have an advantage, that you know and you are secured that your stand is the right stand or the right belief of them all, because you have this relevant evidences and you have really assessed the pros and cons of the particular issue, because you have analyzed it and you have really exerted time to really study the evidences and the basis of your position. So remember that in writing a position paper, the purpose is not only to express your stand. The purpose is not only to research and challenge the other people's claim. The second purpose, I think, is to actually convince your reader that you have critically read the text or analyzed the issue. So you will only be able to achieve that if and only if you have perfected or you have chosen the perfect evidences for your stand, the perfect answers to the counterclaims, and stuff related to convincing and critically reading the text or analyzing the issue. Next is to express your thoughts clearly and concisely. Of course, you have to be to use your words, straightforward words, smooth flow, transitions in your paragraphs. So you don't have to use highfalutin words since it's academic writing. You know the ways on how to formally write and express your ideas since the first quarter of our EAPP subject. Next is use vivid verbs, concrete nouns. Okay, to make it more clear, concise, and easy to understand for all the readers that would be accessing your position papers. So to deepen your understanding of what a position paper is, allow me to present a sample position paper from Francis J. Kong of the Philippine Star, entitled Smart Technology is Here. So what I would love for you to do is to take a screenshot of this introductory phase, or try to pause this item for a while to be able to analyze the particular part of this position paper. So here's the sample body of the position paper written by Mr. Kong. So I think what's missing in this part is the presence of credible sources, or maybe if you will just analyze the words, since it's a little bit conversational, if you will analyze it, it's not actually formally indicated or included in this paragraph. So maybe in writing your own position papers, you try to enhance this type of format. But what you should look at in this body is how the author expressed the arguments and how he was able to support it with ideas and facts. So again, you may try to pause this video or take a screenshot of this sample so that you'll be able to read and analyze the arguments and the conclusion part of this position paper. So let me just read the conclusion. I am interested in technology developments. I'm sure it will improve many people's lives, but the same materials can also be used to advance evil and harm. Therefore, we need to be reminded that technology is moral neutral. It is still the heart of the person using it that matters. So use technology for what matters most, and that is for the good, for everyone's sake. So if you will notice, the conclusion part has suggested or recommended something, has also summarized the entire idea, has also tapped on a particular counter argument that maybe has been explained in the body of the part. So I think you can still again improve this if you will only follow the entries that I have included in the format for position papers. So at last, you are now down to the last and final digital task for the EAPP arena. So like the rest of our video lessons, all you have to do is to just pause this video and try to scan the QR code that is on the screen. So once scanned, you will be redirected to a Google Drive link where all the instructions of the digital task will be explained. So to give you a quick background of what to do for the digital task, you are supposed to be writing a position paper. The guidelines, the deadlines are already there. And also, as a group and final section performance task, once the position papers are done already, and everyone has already accomplished and written their own position papers, each section will be creating a Google site or a Google website where you are to upload all the position papers that you have just accomplished. So for more details, please scan the QR code and access our digital tasks for the week. Since we're done with the discussion of the digital task, and I hope that you were able to scan the QR codes, let me just remind you that we will be having a synchronous time or a synchronous class for this week. Make sure to access our permanent Zoom meeting link and access the link in our second hour of synchronous time or schedule. See you there! And that ends our lesson for today. Truly, time runs fast when we enjoy learning. I'm sure that you have learned new things, especially on how to write a position paper. Please be reminded of the digitasks that you need to accomplish in this lesson. Don't forget to scan the QR codes. Once again, I am Ma'am Cha and see you all tomorrow for another interesting lesson in EAPP. Once again, thank you very much for listening, Tributes.